Hello, lovely people. My name is Chetina Hunter, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, as well as the creator of Always Live Lovely. And you are now watching episode 4 of Breaking Barriers, a mental health discussion. All right, so everyone, I am very excited to be able to have my lovely guest here with me today, talking about a topic that is so very important and timely right now as we live through the pandemic and as we're striving and trying to overcome all that we're facing. Today, in episode 4 of Breaking Barriers and Mental Health Discussion, we are going to be talking about surviving surviving COVID-19, excuse me. So I would love to introduce my lovely guest. Her name is Sierra Enskip. Sierra, if you would love to say a little bit about yourself for the people.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sierra Enskip, as you just heard. I'm just a loving mom. I was working before, but right now, due to coronavirus, I don't have a job at the time. But yeah, I'm just staying at home with my kids right now. So, I mean, that's just a little bit about me right now.
Yeah, and do you want to share a little bit about where you were previously working before the coronavirus kind of
Where
impacted?
I was previously working at a retirement facility. It was basically, or like a nursing home for people who are, elderly, who have dementia and schizophrenia, people like that. I was working at a nursing home basically. I was the receptionist slash the screener. People, I was the person that took people's temperature whenever they came inside the building.
Got it. Okay. So that's lovely background into what the story will be that you will share with everyone today. And as I stated, this is a very important topic. And as y'all know, I choose topics that I'm very intentional about making sure that as things are very difficult in the community for us to be able to talk about. And I know for sure that, we didn't expect to still have to be going through COVID-19 in the way that we are going through it right now. And we don't really know when we're going to get out of COVID-19 either. So it's very imperative that we just kind of remind people that this is very much a real thing. I know that there are some mandates that may have changed. We constantly have to be flexible. People are getting restless, but we have to remember that lives are literally being lost daily and people are testing positive by the minute. So it's very important that we have open conversations about the reality of what actually comes with contracting COVID-19 and what it's really going to take to be able to take care of ourselves, overcome this, get better. If you do get a positive result, how to support your loved ones, and everything in between. So I really hope that this conversation that we're about to have is going to inspire y'all and remind y'all to wear y'all masks. Like wear it. That's what we got to do. Wear our masks and wash our hands and make sure that we're social distancing. So Sierra, just kind of in getting into things, I would love for you to be able to just share a little bit about your story because one thing you all is that not only did Sierra get COVID-19 but also her partner got COVID-19 and they kind of had very different experiences in regards to like settings and different things of that nature and what it took to overcome and heal. So share whatever you feel comfortable just to kind of give the people a realistic picture of how this really can impact a person.
So I'm gonna just start off from the beginning of basically how I believe I got it, or not even how I believe I got it. The after I had came home when I did get it.
Hmm.
Um, it started off a normal day. I was doing screening and also doing my receptionist work. And for some reason, I just didn't feel good. I felt like there was like a heavy weight over me, and I had a really bad headache at work. And so, there was nurses around, and so I ran to a few of the nurses. And I'm like, I got a headache. I don't feel so good. A lot of them told me that maybe, I should just take a Tylenol and it'll go away. The Tylenols didn't work. The headache was still there. I still had this really like heavy weight sitting over me, like it was like something was like pushing me down, but it wasn't.
Hmm.
There wasn't really nothing there. I just felt really heavy and like something. It was just a weight. And so I kind of stayed throughout the day. I left maybe like 4:30. I started at 8, 8:30. Um, I told a couple of people that, I didn't even know I had it. I didn't feel good. So as I was on my way home, I was calling my boyfriend, telling him like, I don't feel good. I think I'm not gonna come home. I was like, I think I'm just gonna go straight to a hotel.
Mhm.
And he was like, oh no, maybe you're just hungry, or maybe you just have a headache. And that's what I thought. I was like, maybe I am a little hungry because I didn't eat anything throughout the whole day. So I was like, well, maybe you're right. I came home and I immediately felt fatigued. I was tired. I couldn't get up. So I sat down and I was telling them, because the nursing facility, there were really high cases there. There were a lot of
Uh,
people who were there who had it. There were like 65 cases. And in the beginning, we didn't even know who actually had it and who didn't, and then we didn't even have personal protective gear. We didn't have the right ones at first. We just
mhm.
had like a few face masks. We didn't even have no shields. And since I was the one that was doing the screening, I didn't wear gloves a lot of the time. And I also didn't have like anything to protect my face, my eyes, or anything. I didn't have on no type of bodysuit.
Mhm.
I would just wear regular clothes, and somebody in my office had got it. And I was literally running around thinking that I couldn't get it because I'm black. I was like, oh, it's because I'm black I can't get it. I thought it
Right.
was a hoax, a joke. I didn't take it seriously, even though I seen people dying from it. I, in my mind, still thought it was a joke. I was like,
Mhm.
it's not real. And so when I came home that night, I went to bed and I couldn't breathe. But it wasn't as if like it wasn't like I was like gasping for air or anything. There was none of that. I just felt like there wasn't like air coming in and out. I was like I was gasping for air, but I wasn't at the same
Mhm.
time
Yeah.
because my nose was like really stopped up. So I was like, okay, I can still take a breath, and then after a while it kind of went away. So I was like, okay, I think I have it. And then I was like, the next day I went to the hospital. They told me that I tested positive for
Mhm.
corona. I immediately started crying because from what I've been seeing on the news and from what everybody was basically saying, like, you're going to die from it, is what I was
Right.
thinking. Like, I was terrified. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to die. I got too much to live for. I got, kids, I got family. I don't like this. I can't let this, take this away from me. I can't, it can't take me out like this. I'm not ready. It's too soon. And so I went to the hospital. My boyfriend took me in my car, and I kept telling him, "I'll take myself," but he still wanted to make sure I was okay.
Right.
And he took me. We came back home. A few days later, he had got sick,
Mhm.
and at the time, we didn't even he didn't realize he had it because he stopped sleeping in the bed with me once I told him that I did test positive. He had stopped sleeping in the bed with me. I was in the room being isolated by myself. Um, So yeah, and then he had got it, and but he got sicker than I did,
Mhm.
and I didn't
Mhm.
know it because he was downstairs. Like he had worse symptoms than I did. His symptoms were way worse. My symptoms weren't that bad, and I actually got kind of lucky with it. But for him, it wasn't getting any better for him.
Yeah, yeah. And I definitely like just hear you. Something that you pointed out in your story was just, that whole thing. Cause I remember in the beginning when it first came out, people were making memes and putting them on Instagram, like Black people can't get coronavirus, or
Right,
like we probably
exactly.
already had it in the beginning of the year. Like we immune to it. And then so like, that's like a thing. And I feel like people have overcome just like that thought of it. But I still feel like there's quite a few people that still feel that same way. Like I'm invincible and I can't get it. And then something that like, with you having that perspective and kind of like having to like live through that, I'm even just curious about like how like your perspective has just changed overall, just in regards to how at first you were like, oh, I can't get it, and then you actually caught it. Like, how did that change for
Mhm.
you?
For me, I was terrified. I thought the worst, and like you said, like you said, it was memes out there. I was believing what everybody else was believing. Just because I'm black and it's a conspiracy. I thought white people did it. Like,
Mhm.
no, it's a very real thing. It could really happen. It could really put you in the hospital. You could really get sick from it. It was devastating. I was scared.
Yeah, yeah, and I know that you said so like between you and your partner, like y'all both got it. And then like, even from what I kind of know with you being isolated at home and him having worser symptoms, which I do know did lead to him having to be in the hospital, do you feel like
Mhm.
there is just like a difference in the impact in your family unit of you were at home and you were going through this and then he's in the hospital and going through this and y'all have kids, so like
Right.
how was the experiences different, do you feel, and how did it just impact like you, your family, and your friends?
It definitely is. When I came home, it kind of spread like wildfire,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, because I was in the room for a short period, in the living room for a short period of time. But after that, I came upstairs. I went to bed. I was laying down, and it definitely made like a quick impact with my family because I had started coughing up blood. Like, everybody's symptoms are different,
Mm-hmm.
and for me, I had experienced the runny nose. It was a slight um, you know, breathing difficulties, but it wasn't that bad. And then I definitely, for him, he was experiencing fever, the chills. He couldn't breathe. He had a headache. I didn't feel a lot of that until towards the end of it. Like, my headache didn't come after.
Mm-hmm.
I started coughing up blood, and I thought I was gonna have to go to the hospital. I made sure I stayed in contact with my doctor. Um, so the impact of that was like, it was scary because my kids was like, "Mom, I have a headache." But they didn't
Mm.
really have no symptoms like that. They didn't have no like cough or anything like that. Like, I was coughing a lot. Like, the cough lasted for maybe like 3 or 4 months. It
Mm-hmm.
lasted for a really long time. Like, that cough didn't go away. And that scared me. And I
Yeah.
thought that I wouldn't be able to see my family no more. And I was scared. Um, Okay, so yeah, I was like, it was scary. I didn't think I was gonna be able to see my family again, so I immediately sent my kids to my sister's house.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, "Don't worry, I'll take care of the kids for you. You'll be fine." And not knowing that they did have the corona too, because they eventually tested positive after
Okay.
she went and took them to get tested.
Uh-huh.
Once she took them to get tested and it came back positive, I was just like, bring them back home now. I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get everyone else around you sick,
Mm-hmm.
because my nephew came from Sacramento. He has a son, and my niece was at my sister's house, her daughter. I didn't want none of them to get sick. So, and then also my other sister from San Diego was out here. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, just bring my kids home. I don't want it to get, spread around to anybody else. Even though they were asymptomatic,
Mm-hmm.
I still it was still I didn't want to take that risk. So I was just like, bring them back home, that way they can quarantine with me.
Yeah, and that's like, that's really scary, like you said, because I know there was also a point in time where people like kids can't get the coronavirus. So it was like all these things that was going around, nobody really actually knew, and some people still actually believe that, but knowing like it impacted your whole family in a variety of ways, because like you said, you had a
Right.
certain set of symptoms, your partner had a certain set of symptoms, and then your kids are like asymptomatic, and then so it's like you didn't
Mhm.
even necessarily know that they had it, and you were trying to protect them by allowing them to go to your sister's house so she could care for them, but then it's like, wow, that automatically puts everyone else at risk, and you're right, this thing can
Mhm.
spread just extremely quickly. um
Fast.
and
Fast.
even like when it comes to like trauma, because I feel like it can be pretty traumatic, like the experience can be
It
pretty traumatic
is
like you said.
traumatic.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And having
It
like
definitely
just the
is.
fear.
Yeah, for a long time when I was in the house, after I had took my boyfriend to the hospital because he couldn't breathe, I was scared. I was at home crying because remember I took my kids to, or I didn't take them. My sister came and got them, and so I was at home crying every day. I
Hmm.
was literally driving myself crazy, thinking I almost killed my family, is what I
Hmm.
was thinking. I was like, my boyfriend's about to die because he's in the hospital. They're about to put him on a ventilator. I was
Hmm.
scared. Like, we were, I think I called my sister and we were just on the phone praying and crying. Even now, it still is like, it makes me get emotional just thinking about it because it was hard for me. I didn't even have a dog in here. Normally,
Uh-huh.
I have my
Right.
pet in here with me, but my dog, I let him go too. I had to take him them out of the house too, because I didn't want them to experience it. I didn't want nobody to see it. It was hard. It was definitely traumatizing. I was scared. I was scared for my kids. I was scared for my boyfriend. I thought, me being at home, I thought something was gonna happen to me.
Mhm.
Um, thought something was gonna happen to him. I didn't want my kids to be left on this earth. Like, it was a lot of stuff that
Yeah.
it was just a lot of stuff that was going on in the back of my mind. But thank God, he survived it because he took a pill. I think the Rodessa smear or something like that.
Okay.
It, but yeah, he eventually. I was talking to the doctors every day, making sure that he was okay, checking on him, and making sure, because they were like, we're gonna put him on a ventilator. We're gonna turn him on his stomach. They eventually turned him on his stomach. Thank God he didn't have to be on a ventilator. But yeah, I was definitely traumatized from it. It was really scary.
Yeah, and that's hard of like, caring for your general family, like your whole family, while also trying to care for like your kids, knowing that they have it and making sure they're okay. But then there's also like you and your partner. And of course, like when you're in isolation, people can't really be around you. And then he's all the way at the hospital, so nobody can be there with him. So it's like, how were you able to just juggle just that worry and that fear of like trying to be supportive? I heard you say like you were constantly on the phone with the doctors, making sure he was okay. But then you're also like probably having to be on the phone and do things to make sure you're okay.
Hmm.
So how are you able to just juggle like that whole thing of having to just be in that isolation and not being able to just be more in touch and on top of things and maybe the way that you were hoping you could be?
Like I said, it was hard. I was crying every day. I was crying. I would wake up and be like, "Oh my God, like what's about to happen next?" I
Hmm.
didn't know, because I didn't know what was gonna happen to me. Like I said, I was coughing up blood. He was in the hospital. My kids were gone. I felt alone. I was like driving myself crazy. I was sad. I was depressed. I didn't really want to call a whole lot of people. I just left here alone, and I didn't want to go outside. I couldn't go outside really.
Hmm.
I had to be in the house, and it was hard. It was really hard. Normally I'm here with my kids or my boyfriend. They're always here with me. I'm always around them. I'm always making sure that they're okay. And that was hard. It was really hard for me, and I couldn't really deal with it. Like I said, I was on the phone crying to almost anybody I spoke to.
Hmm.
I was crying to my sister. I was crying to my mom, like, please pray for us. I even called
Yeah.
my job. I called my job and I told them to pray for us, even though they were going through things too. And it was hard.
Yeah, and best believe I was over here praying for you too, because I'll tell y'all, even in her friend circle, like it was hard to hear some of the things that she was going through and the same fears that she said she had, and with it being something that was a little more new at that time, and people thinking automatically if you get it you're gonna die, like that was my thoughts as well, just for someone that
Mhm.
means a lot to me, and hearing about her coughing up blood and like that was just very hard to sit with, and then so it's also that idea of trying to just pray because sometimes you feel like that's all you got, like
Yeah.
that's all that you could really do, like, in that moment. Mhm.
Yeah.
And even, like, I heard you say, which is a real thing that I think we often, often, often forget, is that whole, like you were saying, the fear of, like, "Dang, I almost just took out my whole family." And I think that people don't think it's real until it's real, and it's like that becomes an actual thing of, like, if you catch it in people that are, like, immunocompromised or elders or children or whoever, like, people could potentially die from it, and so I can
Mhm.
imagine, like, you felt some type of guilt.
I did.
How did you
It
deal
was
with that?
real. It was definitely real guilt. I I didn't. I don't know how I was dealing with it. Like I said, I would cry. I would call my sisters up. I would call my mom up and be like, "Mom, what am I gonna do next?" Like, I didn't know what to do. I honestly didn't. I didn't even want to, like, how some people like post about it. Like, that wasn't
Uh-huh.
something to brag about to me. It wasn't something to kind of like have like as a badge and be proud of. Like, oh my
Right.
God, I got the corona. Like, no, to me it was really scary.
Mhm.
I didn't think I was gonna make it. Like, it was a lot of times where I would wake up and just really thank God that I was alive still. And I would
Mhm.
that, my boyfriend was still alive. Whenever I did call the hospital and I would check on him and they'll say, "Oh, he's fine. He just, walked around, or he went to the restroom, he just took a shower, we just checked on him." I will always be okay, 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 that's good. Any kind of confirmation that he was okay, and me calling my sister to check on my kids, and I was okay, well, they're fine. That's good. She said that whenever, they were over there for a week before they actually got their test back.
Mhm.
And she would always say, oh, I'm checking their temperature. They're fine. I was like, okay. I was just always calling to make sure that the ones that I really that I felt I got infected, I infected them with, I was making sure they were okay. Even though, I was at home by myself, I had to make
Mhm.
sure like they were fine. I was
Right.
more worried about them. And so that's basically how I was dealing with it. It was scary.
Yeah, and I could just imagine just the fear, and like you said, waking up every day and just being happy you're waking up every day and having another opportunity to hear that everybody else is waking up and pushing through another day. And I heard you say that your partner like took a pill that really helped him to overcome it. What other things just really helped you all to get better and overcome, even for you, just like feelings of guilt, feelings of depression, feelings of fear? Like what really helped overcome that?
I would we would just talk to each other a lot on the phone. Whenever he could talk, I would talk to him. We would always tell each other that we love each other.
Mhm.
I told my kids that I love them every time, even though they didn't want to hear it. Mom, you're fine.
Right.
Um, I'm like, okay, but I still love you, like,
Right.
but yeah, that's how I dealt with it. I would tell my family, I love y'all, I love you guys, just in case something happened, because
Mhm.
with that virus is so unpredictable,
Right.
so it was really scary.
Yeah, and did you like was there any medicine or anything that like helped you or you just kind of wrote it out?
I wrote it out basically. I'm not suggesting that anybody should. If your doctor tells you that you're fine, and not that you're fine, if your doctor tells you, you know, if you're getting like certain symptoms, go to the hospital. Make sure that you can breathe. Make sure that your fever is not too high. Because that's basically what I was doing. I kept in contact with my doctor. I was even telling my doctor to pray for me, and
Yeah.
me and my doctor was on the phone crying for a little while. Like,
Mhm.
and I asked him about my boyfriend. Like, do you think he's gonna be okay? And a lot of the time, the doctor didn't even know.
Right.
He was like, I'm not. I don't know. It was
Mhm.
really an unknown thing. And then this was like in the beginning. This
Mhm.
was like when it first started. So it was like they didn't know a whole lot about it. And I was like, can you get it a second time? And
Mhm.
the first time they were like, and another doctor I had spoke to, they were like, yeah, you can. So it was just really unsure. They didn't know, and I didn't know, and I was scared. So yeah, it was hard. I was just telling everybody I love them.
Yeah, and definitely like, it's changed so much of course since like, the beginning stages, but I still feel like that whole idea of the unknown is still very much there because we don't have like a vaccine. So it's like there's still so much that I feel like are out of a doctor's control of, and they just kind of like do the best that they can do. And that's hard, because it's
It
like
is.
you're looking to the doctor to be the one with all the answers. But what happens when something hits America and the world actually, and the doctors don't even have the answers? Like,
Exactly. Exactly.
what do you even do with that? And even like since it's been a while since y'all have had it, like what has your health even been like afterwards? Has there been like any health complications still?
Health wise, no, not really. I haven't really experienced anything after. I mean, like I said, that cough lasts for a long time. That cough
Mm-hmm.
was there for a long time. I think that anxiety, you get really bad anxiety. You feel like you're gonna catch it again,
Mm-hmm.
and you also feel like if you catch it again, is it gonna be worse?
Right.
Am I gonna die from it the next time? Is my body strong enough to fight it off again?
Mm-hmm.
Has it mutated to where it can kill you? So that anxiety really sets in, and then you also feel like you don't want to go outside. Like
Mm-hmm.
after my doctor kind of gave me the clear to go outside and told me it was okay, I did not want to go outside. I was
Right.
scared. I was like, I don't want to get nobody else sick. I don't want nobody to get um I don't want them to get me sick again. Like that's probably it's like a mental thing. Is That's
Right.
probably the only thing I can honestly say that you get after having it, is that your mentality
Mm-hmm.
is not the same.
Yeah. So like a more heightened increase in just anxiety and probably even being hypervigilant because I know sometimes I can be in a store and somebody's coughing or somebody's like, a lot of people don't wear their
Yeah.
mask correctly. For some reason, people are still wearing it under their nose. Like it's so many different things to where it's just like, oh my gosh, like I need to move or I got to get out of here. Or, and I can only imagine that that's
Mhm.
10 times worse if you've already had it because you most definitely do not want to contract it again, I'm sure. And
Mhm.
the news does say like, but we don't really know, but the news does say things like, oh, if you've had it, then there's a possibility of like immunity, but then it's like immunity for how long? They don't necessarily know. And you're right, like say
Right.
there is some faultiness in that, you know, has it really built up your immune system to where it could fight it and be fine? Or like you said, just that concern of like, okay, what if your immune system isn't that strong and it's 10 times harder this time?
Right.
Because people have like got it more than once.
Mhm. Yep, I've seen it on the news. I think my doctor told me, "No, you can't catch it again." And then like a few weeks later, somebody had it a second time.
Right.
And I was just like, "Oh, no, you can't catch it again." And that was enough for me to be like, I'm not whenever I do go to the store, it's in and out. I know what I'm grabbing.
Hmm.
There is no, "Oh, I want to look around and touch things." I don't do that no more. I just kind of grab what I need and go.
Right, right, right. So having a plan and making sure that it's clear and even with the anxiety that you do experience, have you found anything to be like helpful to kind of decrease it when you're experiencing it in the moment?
No.
Hmm.
No. I still get it. I think it's gonna whenever this thing is over with, hopefully it will be that, maybe that fear will go away, but it's still there. It's
Yeah.
still there.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's real. Like, sometimes especially with it still just being something that's changes every single day and new fears
Mhm.
can come every single day, it's hard sometimes to feel like it can decrease, because it's
Mhm.
everywhere, like everyone's talking about it. There's always something in the news, they always got the numbers in our face so that we know just how many people have caught it by the day, how many people have caught it by the state, and how many people are dying. So it can feel like just an ongoing cycle of never ending anxiety and feeling like nothing can really work to like decrease it until it goes away. And like
Mhm.
do you looking back, like do you wish that there was something that would have happened differently, or even with preparing and moving forward, have you been able to reflect on things to just do differently now?
The things that I wish I would have just stayed a lot further because at the time, like I said, I didn't take it serious. That is one thing I wish I could have did was took it more seriously. And I also wish that I would have stayed away from the people that were sick,
Hmm.
um, or even just people that I worked with, because I was still, kind of hanging on people's shoulder, like, "Hey, girl,"
Right.
I didn't know that just by doing that, I could get sick.
Hmm.
Um, and then there was like an infection area that we kept at the office. One of my coworkers went back there, and if I would have probably just like cleaned his area more, like he had
Uh-huh.
his office. I think I had to go back there a few times towards his desk, and because he had got sick before I did, and he stopped coming to work, and I would go by his desk. I wish I would have took it more seriously, wore gloves, or put some sanitary napkins down and wipe the area
Hmm.
first, or I just started touching stuff without no gloves on or cleaning the area. That is one thing I wish I would have did. I wish I'd have been a lot smarter um,
Hmm.
with this virus because I took it as a joke. I thought it was a joke. Even though I was seeing people pass away, I was like, oh, it's not gonna get me because I'm young and black, and I was like,
Hmm.
it won't affect me, but it did.
Yeah.
It literally got my immediate family sick.
Yeah, and I definitely hear you just in that idea, and it's important to know like it's listen, Corona, Miss Rona, she's not picking and choosing. She is
Mhm.
latching onto whoever she want to latch on to. So any
Yeah,
type of ideas that people have of, oh, I'm not gonna get it, oh, I'm gonna be fine, don't nobody I know got it, it's still not real. Like you can still very much get it, and then you'll be sitting there
yeah,
shook because it's like, well, dang, I didn't even know
yeah,
this was about to happen. This was a possibility.
Yeah, it does not discriminate on age, gender, ethnicity. It does not care
Mm-hmm.
if you black, because that's what I kept saying. I was like, oh, I'm young and black. It's not gonna, because at first it was like it doesn't affect the young people, and since I'm like
Mm-hmm.
in my 30s, I was like, oh, I won't get that sick.
Right.
But when I seen, my boyfriend get really sick, I was
Mm-hmm.
terrified. I was
Yeah.
scared. So
Yeah.
it can and it will, it'll have you, it'll affect you a lot in many
Yeah.
ways. It might not affect you, it'll affect somebody else in your family.
Right.
And it might, because they were saying, some kids can pass away from it. And that was my whole thing. I was terrified for them. I was like, okay, if it's gonna take somebody out, take me out. Don't take my kids. Don't take my
Mm-hmm.
husband. It, like you said, it was really guilt. I felt really bad. I
Yeah.
knew I just felt bad.
Yeah, and that's important too what you brought up. Like even if one person gets it and say like you said since the symptoms are different, like it could still if you give it to someone else, it could impact them 10 times worse. Like we just don't necessarily know. We can't necessarily think like, well, I'm fine, so everybody else will be fine if they get it too. Like that's not true either. And then it's that guilt like you said that's there and you wanting to for everyone to be okay. Nobody wants to get anybody else sick, especially not with
Mhm.
this. And some of it is like out of our hands because a lot of the times what I'm even noticing is like I think it's the incubation period.
Mhm.
So you can have it and didn't even know that you had it. And then you done been here, there, done said hi to this person, maybe gave a hug to this person, been to this person's house. And then 8 days later, you find out like, dang, I got the coronavirus. And you wasn't
Right,
intentionally trying to give it to nobody, but you didn't even 100% know that you had it. So there's just
right.
so many loopholes that I feel like it can happen just so quick and flip your life upside down and round like just so easily. And I heard you say like you're not working right now. It was just like the overarching theme of like how the pandemic has impacted people and like how your life has changed thus far with just living through the pandemic itself, even outside of catching COVID, just living through the pandemic itself. How are you just managing that?
Like I said, I just take care of my family, just kind of staying away from people. We do kind of get together a little, not a lot. We don't get together as often.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll go to my sister's house or something like that. But we always call to make sure like nobody's coughing or anybody has like some type of fever. We always check on each other first before or we just kind of pop up on each other.
Right.
Because it can start off as a headache. It can start off, like I said, for me, it was just a headache. It was a really bad headache. It could start off as a fever, just like my boyfriend. It was a really bad fever for him. He just kept saying, "Oh, I just got the chills, I'm just a little cold." So it can affect people differently. But we always try to make sure that everybody's okay in my family. But as far wise as work goes, um, I think that I'm just gonna stay home and take care of my kids for now
Mm-hmm.
until this whole thing is over with.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yeah.
I guess until they can find like a cure or something. I really don't
Yeah.
know, but I just want to make sure they're fine.
Mhm, mhm, and that makes sense, and that makes sense of a priority too, because social distance learning, there's so much that's going on with that, and there have been parents that have had to step away from certain responsibilities because they need to make sure that their kids are good too. So there's just so many different layers to how this
Yeah.
pandemic has just impacted people's lives and people just having to
Mhm.
go with the flow and basically like lose a sense of control maybe in a lot of areas where people did feel like they had control. And we've talked a lot about um just precautions for people to take, and I know even when it comes to just a couple of things for caring for mental health, like you talked about anxiety, and I know like basically some things that could be helpful is like focusing on the now. So instead of like being too worried or concerned about what's going to happen in the future or all the what is, us really bringing our attentions back to the now and what we can control, because there's so much that we cannot
Mhm.
control about this. So being able to do your
Right.
portion of what you can control, and focusing on the accurate information, not just getting stuck in the loop of like looking at all these different media outlets, is something that's
Right.
really important. And knowing that people can test, like if you need to test and you feel like, let me just see if I'm okay. Because people are shoot, I'm hesitant. I have not got a coronavirus test yet. There was so much fear about it, and I know it's changed a little bit. They don't got to stick it up there till you feel like they dig it in your brains, but like
Right.
I'm super scared of like taking it. But it's also just the idea of people need to be okay with getting a test and not letting that be the barrier, because that could really save a life. That could save your life. And then so even when it comes to like people boosting their immune system, I don't know if you've done anything different to like boost your immunity system a little bit more. Do you feel like you have?
Yeah, now I go out and I buy a whole bunch of vitamin pills. I got like, and I always buy orange juice in the morning. I think now we have sea moss in the house
Uh-huh.
to get mucus and stuff. Like now we're like kind of like health freaks a little.
Uh-huh.
I always make sure I'm like, here, take this vitamin, gummy real quick, in the morning. And I'll be like, drink some orange juice. And then I also had got like a juicer. I'm like, let's start eating and drinking healthy, even
Mm-hmm.
though I should have been doing that, but now it seems like it is more needed than before because you need your immune system to be a lot stronger.
Right,
And
right.
so, uh,
Yeah, so like taking those supplements, eating well, like knowing our mind and our body is connected, and kind of like make sure we're getting adequate rest. Going to the doctors if we need to, not hesitating and thinking like, oh, okay, I just got a little cold. Like I said, if we need to test, then we need to test. And the biggest
yeah.
thing, which is like a huge pet peeve of mine right now, is like wearing our mask correctly. Like I don't know why people either get masks that's too small. If you know your mask too small for your face, why are you doing this to yourself? I'm like, just
Right.
get something that's gonna cover this whole region, because it
Hmm.
can get in your nose. Like, I think at a point in time I thought it could get in your eyes. Like, I don't really know, but like it can get in all the openings. Like,
That's so
wear the
true.
mask.
Exactly, because like I said, when I was at work, I didn't really have the personal protective gear. I didn't have like gloves or anything like that, but they did have like the AC on. So it could have
Hmm.
came from a number of places. It probably wasn't necessarily just my coworker that, I touched his desk or whatever, because they were saying that it could live on the surface for like 24 hours.
Right. Hmm.
But, it could be anything. Like
Hmm.
I kind of believe I got it from it being, going into my eyes from the AC because I didn't have like a face shield on. I didn't have anything on.
Right.
I walked in
Right.
the building barefaced. I didn't
Hmm.
have a mask on, so it could have been from a number of things, and you
Hmm.
don't know how this thing can affect you. And, I probably scratched my arm or something and it probably got into my skin. Who knows?
Right.
This thing is so unknown. It's really
Right.
scary.
Right, you're right. So like taking care and making sure that people are just protecting themselves and protecting their loved ones, and knowing it's okay to set boundaries. Like it's okay to miss out on an event, miss out on a gathering. It's okay to tell someone like, no, I'm not hanging out right now. I'm social distancing, making Zoom a thing. Like boundaries are definitely a okay thing to set, and kind of like, trying to also create a sense of structure, because since the pandemic has just flip people's lives upside down. A lot of anxiety, like I said, comes from that idea of not being able to have a sense of control, or that lack of structure, even for the kids. So trying to implement things within your day that kind of reminds you of what things were like when things were normal,
Right,
can be
exactly.
something that's really helpful and less anxiety provoking.
Mhm.
And then like making sure people are doing self-care, like do some things you like, like, journal so that you have some space to express your emotions and your fears. See a therapist if you need to see a
Right.
therapist, like
Mhm.
that's okay. And reminding
Right.
ourselves of like our abilities to overcome, like, so that self-talk, I know we can feel like super doomed, but also trying
Mhm.
to remember like we do have the ability to overcome, and we're all doing the very best that we absolutely can. So it's kind of like that's just like some things I really want to point out, and things that like you had mentioned that I wanted to just reiterate on, because people are looking every day of like, how am I going to just continue to overcome this? And a lot of people even have a fear of like they may have started to do things, or like right now you're probably spending a lot of time with your kids because you haven't been working, and I'm pretty sure that's something you enjoy. And some people have fear of the things that they're able to do now, that once we have to go back to the normal and be on that hustle and bustle that America thinks we need to do, like it's going to take all that away. People's ability to connect with their families more, people's ability to have self-care and take care of their health, people's ability to probably get enough sleep. Like, do you feel like you have any of those fears or concerns?
Yeah, now I'm like my daughter's best friend. I mean, we were always close, but she tells me all the time, like, Mom, you're my best friend. You're my best friend. And I'm
Oh,
just like, well, now I have to be because we're in the house
yeah.
together. I have to help study with you and, learn the things, relearn the things that you've learned in like fifth grade and stuff like that. And then, like, I just have to do everything like that, just make sure they're okay. I have to
Mhm.
do all that stuff. I'm their teacher and their mom and their best friend.
Mhm.
So it's just stuff like that. But like you said, definitely go see a therapist, especially if you feel like, if this being in a house thing is not for you. Talk to somebody. Don't just like sit in the house and let it kind of like fester in your mind.
Right.
Go talk to somebody. If you feel like you need to get it off your chest, and if this is making you worry, talk to somebody. Don't let it stress you out, because I know that some people were like suicidal from this, and it's
Mhm.
like, you got to be strong. You got to have a strong will. You got to have something to fight for. You got to have something to live for.
Right.
And so definitely just go talk to anybody. It doesn't, if they don't listen, just talk. Just get it off
Yeah.
your chest. But yeah, definitely do all those things like you said.
Yeah, yeah, I 100% agree. And I know like there's another huge thing that I really wanted to like point out too, because I know there's a lot of stigma, especially with people of color, especially with Black people, when it comes to just our relationship with medical professionals.
Mhm.
And that's just due to a lot of different ways that our ancestors were treated very poorly, being lied about with certain tests being done on them and it killing a bunch of people. And so I know, like, with this whole thought of the vaccine coming, it's like
Mhm.
some people are like, yes, but then some people are like, nah, I ain't taking that vaccine. Like, we don't know what that
Right,
vaccine gonna do. Even myself,
right.
I'm like, okay, so a group of y'all can take it. I'm gonna see how it
Mhm.
impact y'all, and then if it look like it's
Right.
cool, then I'll take it. Like, what do
Mhm.
you feel? Just like your thoughts are around that, and like how this whole vaccine thing is going to work, and if people are having fears about if they are going to take it or if they're not even going to do it just because of that stigma that comes with it from the history.
So with that, I'm kind of on both sides of the fence,
Mm-hmm.
only because I'm like, okay, I just want to see how it goes for the first few of people, for the first set of people that's going to take it. If
Right.
if it works for them, then I'll take it. But if it doesn't work somewhere down the line, if like one person or two or three people like, no, I still got the corona, then I'll wait until there's actually a vaccine for it. But right now, I'm not sure. I understand that they're saying that it works, and
Mm-hmm.
and it probably does. I'll wait. Like you
Yeah.
said, it's yeah, it's kind of hard still.
Yeah, so it sounds like making that personal choice, and hopefully people can build some trusting relationships with their doctors. I know that's a whole nother video. Like that's a whole nother video talking about stigma and
Right.
people not trusting the medical system.
That is a
Um,
whole nother video.
yes, yes, a whole nother deep conversation. But I definitely agree and feel you just
Mhm.
in regards to like it's going to be like a personal choice and trying to see like how it impacts people, and it gives some level of hope that maybe it could be something that's really great. But again, this whole thing has been like we don't know until things actually come and they actually happen, and it's kind of like just that personal choice of what you're ready to do in regards to making sure that we can continue to survive this, because outside of that vaccine, the way that America ain't been on one accord. Like we one of the countries that has not been on one accord. Ain't no
Right.
telling when coronavirus will
Exactly.
go away. It's just shoot, Miss Rona, then she done bought a house here. She done brought all her little
Got
friends in there.
comfortable.
She's
Right.
setting up shop. Like she ain't trying to go nowhere. So
Mhm.
I'm just like,
Mhm.
it's just it's a lot. And I
It
really
is.
just like appreciate you for being willing to be open to just like
Mhm.
share your stories. And I don't know if you have any particular questions like for me at the moment.
No, not right now, not at the moment. I mean, I just want to say that it's not a conspiracy. It's very real. Like I'm a real person. I know a lot of people, there are conspiracy theorists that like to say stuff like, "Oh, she's not a real person. She
Mhm.
really affect her," and I'm a real person. I
Mhm.
actually get sick. My boyfriend actually almost passed away from this. My
Mhm.
kids were sick. I had my whole family terrified, scared, praying. Not just my family, Chetina, my
Mhm.
family friend, like that I've known forever. I've had, everybody afraid that something was going to happen, not to just me, but my kids, my boyfriend, just everybody. This is a very real thing. Take it very seriously. It's not something to joke about. I know that it doesn't seem very real to us, to especially to Black people. Sometimes we don't take things seriously. We also sometimes we see that if it affects one person, then it won't really affect another person, or
Mhm.
that's not true. It can affect anybody. Like, it can get to anybody who does not care. So just definitely take it seriously. I
Yeah.
don't,
Yeah.
it's real.
I agree with you. And, definitely sending love and light and energy to just, people that have lost loved ones, during this time. Cause I know this time may be even
Right.
more, hard. Like, holidays are happening and the new year is approaching and no one expected this year to be what it has been. And just
Uh-oh.
giving love and light to the spirits that are flying high, with the people that have not been able to survive this, and trying to just make sure that we continue to hold out hope and knowing that the decisions we're making daily, in regards to how serious we're taking this on a personal level, is actually impacting everyone else around you. It's impacting just the greater society every time that you do something within your house and every time you step outside of your house. So like Sierra was saying, like, take it seriously. Like, we're real people. Like, these things really are happening. They're really changing people's lives, and it can definitely impact and change your life. It probably already has, like, in regards to us having to be over Zoom, like we all got to wear a mask. Like, we're all impacted on some level. Nobody, even the people that don't
Mm.
want to believe it, even the people that don't want to wear the mask, you're still very much impacted by this because of all the things that's happening at a societal level. So there's really no way to kind of get away from it or around it. So it's kind of like just encouraging to do what you can do to survive. I know people have free choice, and to where they're just like, this is my freedom and I can do whatever I want to do, which is 100% true. And the only thing I can say is just
Mhm.
consider the other people in your life too. And even if you don't feel like you want to do it for you, maybe consider doing it for them, or trying to not see it as a restriction or someone trying to like hold you back or hold you down or make you do something that you don't necessarily want to do, but trying to think for just the greater good, because everyone is not going to continue to survive this. That's a fact. Like, all of us are not going to make it into the new year. And that's even a fear that I have, even as a therapist. I got all the skills, I got all the tools, but all the time I'm just grateful that I've lost some family members. I also have had some family members that have contracted it outside of like friends. I have friends that have contracted it. And it's just like, my thought has been like, I'm happy to still have a lot of people here, especially my immediate family. Everyone's still alive, everyone's still well. And I'm praying that we're continuing to do that. I'm praying that people I know just don't get it again, that nobody else can get it. But it's also that real thing of like, any of us could get it and any of us could not make it into the new year. And so I'm always just like, I just want us to make it to the other side, because that's the
Right.
reality of everything. I just want us to make it to the other side and be able to
Right.
overcome this. So like I said, I appreciate you so, so much for being willing to
Mhm.
share your story, being willing to be open, like, being willing to just, encourage people to get support and help that they need, and just talking about the real Joe Holyfield of how this really impacted you. And I don't know if you have like an email or a way that you would like people, if they have questions or if somebody actually wanted to just like reach out to you, and all positive energy, y'all. But if you have any questions for her in regards to like how to overcome it or ways to just, seek some support or something, do you have an email you would like to share with people?
I'll just give people my Facebook.
Yeah.
My Facebook is ccsierra Facebook. You know, that's like the only thing that I be on, is just Facebook, because I like to like write, read, and talk to my family on there.
Yeah. So if y'all
Mhm.
have any questions, it sounds like she's open to that. And also, this is
Mhm.
episode 4 of Breaking Barriers, and it's something that I'm very passionate about, something I'm doing because we need to be able to talk. Like, everybody don't have access to go into a therapist, which I know I see it happen every single day. Everybody doesn't have access to talk about things. Everybody is like, doesn't. There's a lot of people that feel too afraid to even open their mouth and share their stories and want to overcome and heal. So I'm hoping that this can be an inspiration for people. Like, I did 4 episodes. First episode was on suicide. Second episode was on Section 8. The episode that I had for number 3 was on black hair. And now we're talking about surviving COVID-19. And, I run Always Live Lovely. So if anybody has questions and ways to get in contact with me, my website is www.alwayslivelovely.com. You can email me at connect@alwayslivelovely.com. And then all my social media handles for YouTube, Instagram, Facebook is at Always Live Lovely. So be a part of the community, like, get tapped in, be a barrier breaker, have these conversations. Let this inspire you to talk to a friend, talk to a family member, like really build your support system. If you're not ready to go to a therapist, like that's okay. Like I get it. So
Mhm.
definitely like just talk to somebody. And like I said, we're here, like, send questions, tap in, watch some of the previous episodes, and be looking forward to the upcoming episodes, because I do an episode every single month. So again, thank you so much, Sierra.
You're
I love you
welcome.
dearly. I'm happy that this is something that you have survived, and we're going to continue to push through and survive it.
Right.
All
Right.
right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.